Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today we have the Stranger Things Applejack. This is one of the ones that I've deboxed. They're popping up everywhere in stores, so I felt like this was a great time to do what I love to do, which is to customize ponies. So I've decided that I want to make this one into a shy pose version of Bluebell. She's one of my favorite ponies. So looking at the three Bluebells here, I feel like this lovely Stranger Things Applejack, I feel like she most closely resembles my concave hoof Bluebell, which is this one over here. So this is concave, flat foot, and mail order. So let's get started. So the basic fun ponies are pretty similar to the ones that we remember from the 80s, but there are a few key differences that we'll see as we go through and prepare this one for her transformation to shy pose Bluebell. So the first thing that I do when I'm customizing a pony is I pop the head off, because you always want to see what's inside. So we're going to go ahead and pop the head off here. Then the original G1 My Little Ponies, because the opening, their neck opening is slightly different, and she has a slightly more robust neck plug that holds her in place. And inside, it looks like this plastic is a lot thicker even than some of the G1s. So we'll go ahead and pull her tail out. And I use a needle nose plier. And when you push the tail plug in a little bit, you can kind of work that in there and get a good grip on it. Got it. And you pull it through. Now this is interesting because the G1 ponies had the similar metal crimp and the washer. So the washer here is not made of the really thin metal that rusted like crazy. And we're going to go ahead and remove her symbols. So acetone is a very effective organic solvent for removing things, especially pony symbols. So we're going to go ahead and remove these symbols. And as you can see with this acetone, they just come right off. So with the eyes, I'm not going to strip off her eyes. You can pretty much preserve, unless you are painting or you need to completely strip off the eye makeup for any reason, you can usually preserve the outside. So you've got your lash line, your upper and lower lash line, and just kind of the little flick at the edge or little cat eye. It's best to try and preserve that, even if you might need to paint over it or touch it up just so you have something to refer to. So I'm going to leave this intact. When you're cutting all the hair off of a mane, if you don't want it to go everywhere, you can just take a little ponytail holder like so, and we're going to go ahead and cut all this off right at the base so it makes it easier. Put that away, I'm going to get high. So because we've got this little tiny opening here, I think I'm going to open this up a little bit. I need a little more room, not only for giving her the new hair that I want her to have, but to open it up to make it easier, because as you can see, my pliers don't even go in there, and I've got some super long needle nose ones, but yeah, let's not make life more difficult than it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently go in and widen this hole. So we've made the hole a little larger to make it easier to remove the hair that she's been haired with and to put new hair in. Oh wow, she's got a big air bubble there. Check that out. So you can see, you can just reach in and just grab the plugs. Quick and easy tip is just to get the head of your pliers inside and you just wiggle them up against the base of the plugs, and it pulls it right out, just like so. Problem is that these are still too bulky to get all the way up in there, so I may have to use a different tool. I love these tools. I use these for sculpting, for all kinds of things, and this is like a little pointed spoon tool. I like it because it's really firm, it's not going to bend, because I need to put a fair amount of pressure on the inside of the head here to remove these plugs. So I can get this all the way up to the top, and I'm just kind of putting pressure at the base of the plugs. You want to be careful that you do not push through the row of plugs, because where this row comes along here, the plastic is thinnest here, and it's going to be really easy to split this if you're not careful. So just be careful, take it slow and steady. Alright, so we're going to start mixing up the eye color for Bluebell. So what I've done is on this little palette here, I've got a light blue color, and I've got a little bit of clear coat, and this purple is a proprietary shade that I've mixed up to match a lot of the Hasbro purples. Believe it or not, a lot of the Hasbro colors that look a little bit more muddy, I guess, have a lot of yellow in them. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this shade here, and we're going to mix this up and get the color that I'm looking for her eyes. I'm really happy with that color. Let's go in and start changing her eyes. So I like to use spotters. This is one of my favorites. It is a Princeton short liner. It is an 18-0 spotter. And a lot of the really fine paintbrushes that you see, they have really long bristles. I like these because they're not super long. They're easier for doing detail, in my opinion. Some people like the longer bristles for doing details, but these ones tend to work best for me. So. So let's talk about rehearing. I've already started and gone a little ways. On this one, I've got about a third of the way down on the main row of plugs going down here. And I've got hair that matches Bluebell perfectly. So I like to do rehearing the old-fashioned way using a long doll hair needle. And my favorite tools that I cannot do without when rehearing are a really good comb. I like these ones. They come from vintagehairstyling.com. I like them because they have the really soft bristles. They're made in the USA. They come in absolutely beautiful colors, and they're pretty retro. I have a good set of pliers for pulling your needle through or for removing hair. These are some old Martha Stewart ones that I've had for years, and they're my favorites for rehearing. You should always have a really good long needle, and for this technique, I like these really long doll hair needles. So I don't break the ends off, I keep the ends on there and just thread each plug through and tie it. So, good pliers, good needle, good comb, most importantly, really good scissors. So these are a little small pair of scissors. They're made by Singer. I love them because they have a really fine tip on them, and they're great for getting in those little tiny spaces. Without further ado, let's go ahead and I'll show you how I like to hair a pony. So I like to use nylon hair. So I always buy them in really big packs so that I never run out. And so what I do is I take a good plug of them and I dip them in water so the ends are kind of wet. And I separate them out in little plugs. I don't recommend over-hairing a pony, meaning putting too much hair into a plug, because you can split the pony's head open. This is not pretty. It takes a lot of work to fix. Alright, so if you look on these ponies, there's all of the plugs from the pre-existing hair that's on there. Again, try to adjust the size of the plug of hair that you're putting with the hole that's already in the head. And down here at the bottom, for example, you can see here, there's a really big opening here. So I'm gonna have to put a really big plug of hair into that one, otherwise it's gonna look kind of funny. But the other ones, just a good standard size plug should be good for a long hair. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and move on to painting the new symbols. So I've already started on painting her star symbols on this side of her body. I had to put her tail in. I really needed the instant gratification. So we'll just have to work around that a little bit. I may have to take her tail out when I finish with the protective lacquer that goes over the symbols. But I've got a pretty good start on the symbols, as you can see here. The stars need to be cleaned up a little bit. What I usually do is I will go in and kind of rough in a symbol. And then when I need to do the really tiny detail, like making sure that all the lines are straight, the little points are all even, I will go in and finish up using my little teeny brushes. So the paint that I'm using, this is a special blend that I made. I really like to mix my own colors, and I like to mix different kinds of paint. A lot of people will just mix using one type of paint, and I use quite a few different products. So this one is a mix of, it's thinned with water and a Liquitex medium so that it spreads out a little thinner and it doesn't get really thick and chunky as it dries. And there's probably about, I think I put a little bit of blue, a little bit of cobalt, some purple, and I put in a nice white primer base. I like to keep it really thin for doing symbols. You just can't beat it, because with symbols you really don't want to go over it more than twice, or it's going to start getting thick and chunky looking. So you want it to, you can kind of see the consistency of this paint. This is a great consistency for doing symbols. And this is one of my custom blends. So let's go ahead and cover these symbols. And there you have it. There is my Bluebell alternate pose custom, customized from a Stranger Things My Little Pony Applejack. I updated her hair, gave her a lighter color purple hair, removed the upside down blue apples and gave her stars for her symbols, changed her eyes, repainted them to look a little more like traditional My Little Ponies. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you so much. If you would like, subscribe to my channel for future pony shenanigans. And take care until next time. Bye-bye.